This right here is the one long conversation with your pal, Skip. Hi. So today's guest is Tom Stern, amazing guy. I am really happy to be talking with because, well, number one, because he's fucking awesome, but number two, because I want to talk about his new movie, the Butthole Surfers documentary, The Whole Truth and Nothing But, which he spent 5 years making and which is still doing the festival rounds as it looks for distribution. I have seen it. It is unbelievable. We're going to talk a whole lot about it. A couple things about Tom real quick. Right now, he's also a co-writer on the new SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. He has directed and been showrunner on Netflix shows like Kevin Hart's Guide to Black People and the show The Toys That Made Us. He's also directed stuff from Jimmy Kimmel Live to Crank Yankers. So a wide net of accomplishment. I met him many years ago. I was already a fan, starting with Impact Video Magazine, a thing that he did with Alex Winter and I believe Stuart Shapiro. That was basically talking with people like Bill Hicks, Jane's Addiction, Survival Research Labs, the great painter Robert Williams, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This led to a show called The Idiot Box on MTV, which I absolutely loved, and then an astonishing film called Freaked, legendary film called Freaked, starring Alex Winter and Randy Quaid, back when Randy Quaid was awesome. And I was at a particularly down and out point in my life when a mutual friend suggested I might want to do a little writing for Tom, who had various assignments, but couldn't sit in his chair long enough to get them down. So I became kind of a ghost collaborator on several projects, including an episode of The Wild Thornberrys. And it got to the point where we actually went into Quincy Jones and pitched a remake, possible remake of them, at least until Tom figured out that wasps were scarier than giant ants. And my daughters were in his video for Marilyn Manson's Dope Hat, with Marilyn Manson as Willy Wonka, which is an insane experience all in and of itself. But anyway, let's go talk with Tom some. The other thing I want to say about Tom, a relentlessly creative character. One example, he decided that it would be fun to torment his cat, so he designed a cat dish that was shaped like a mouse, and it was motorized. So when he would put food in the bowl, the cat would come to eat it, and all of a sudden it would start scooting across the room. The cat would have to chase it, which was fucking hilarious. Okay, let's go talk with Tom. Hey, it's recording.
Hey.
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Me too. Where are you?
I'm in a trailer on the property that I own in Altadena, on the site of my burned down house.
Fuck a duck.
Fuck a duck. That's what I did. I fucked a duck, and apparently didn't use enough lube. I created sparks.
I didn't realize that ducks went up that easy.
In the drought, when a drought condition.
That makes a lot of sense.
They get very dry, and you can start a fire. It turns out, I didn't know that.
Combustible, yeah. Wow. So yeah, I knew that had happened with you, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. So you're rebuilding, and you're what's the scoop? What's the scoop?
An old friend of mine, Ben Ball, is my architect, and we came up with a cool design for a new place, and we're in the process of getting the permits approved. So it looks good for probably January to break ground.
Amazing. Okay, good.
After the fire, we'll be breaking ground, and hopefully I'll have a new house to live in several months after that.
There you go. Wow. And where are you camping now? Did you just rent a place or?
No, I'm in a trailer.
Oh, holy fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Save money. I can't, I gotta, my budget's super tight, so I gotta, use money that I'd pay for rent. I gotta use to help rebuild the house.
There you go. Okay, that makes total sense. Wow. Well, shit. Life goes dramatically up and down sometimes at like the exact same time. There's a thing that you and I both know really, really well.
Well, the story is that I've been making this movie. I mean, I've had a lot of big ups and downs, and like this movie started in 2020, just as COVID was starting.
Oh, just in time.
Yeah. And all the first interviews I did with Gibby, he's got a mask and we pull it down at the last second. But that coincided with like my ex-wife kicking me out of the house and a horrible divorce. And then I spent, 5 years making this movie, and we're racing to get it into the festivals last year, and I wanted to premiere it at South by Southwest because they're an Austin band,
right?
Like the perfect place. And but it was still a rough cut when we handed it in last year. A year ago, it was still not really in shape. So I was nervous about, are we going to get into the festival? It's just hard to get into those big festivals.
For sure, of course.
But so I had this anxiety in my gut, and then finally on January 7th, I guess, of last year, I get this email in the mid-morning, and it's, congratulations, you've been accepted to South by Southwest with your movie. And I'm like, yay! I was so happy. And 4 hours later, the hills are on fire. And my house burns down.
Jesus Christ.
But the good news that I'd gotten into South by Southwest really carried me through.
Yes. Because
it was like, thank God, my future has brightness in it.
Yeah.
As opposed to it was bright. The fire was bright too.
Extremely bright. Yeah.
Yeah. There was brightness all around, but what I lost was everything, all the stuff I've accumulated in 59 years that I was dragging around, and that's all gone. But that's the past. And
yes.
The film, premiering at the festival was the future. So that really helped me. I had a dramatic, or I had an unusual response to the devastating loss, which was after a couple days of shock. I adopted this kind of Mr. Natural, I don't need material, attitude.
Yes.
And it served me well. I haven't been miserable at the loss of all the material that I'd accumulated.
I've lost almost everything I ever owned, and I feel like so much lighter.
Yeah.
And it's really, really interesting. I like being able to travel light. And again, it's the past. The great thing about the past is you already did it, so you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
But then there's things like documenting the past in the way that you did with this film, with those people, which I just, I can't believe we've gotten this far into the conversation without me telling you how fucking amazing this movie is.
Thank you, John.
It's so fucking good, man. And it was so cool to watch it, because not only is the story and the human element of it fascinating on like all kinds of levels, but then there's the puppets and the just the fucking dazzling amounts of visual zazz that you bring to it in all these different ways, the different layers of texture on it, that really, really, really bring, it's very few movies can actually capture bad acid. The way that you have the knack of, and it's so amazing to watch on film, because the second it hits is like, oh, I know that. You know?
Yeah, that was the goal. I wanted to make a documentary that honored the band, and they were such a visually spectacular band,
Right.
that, I was like, we can't just have a standard doc with talking heads and some archival footage. We gotta zazz it up and really, I gotta throw everything I've got at this movie. And so, yes, it was absolutely satisfying and gratifying. And the fact that the band loves it, which was another major anxiety I had for 5 years.
Sure.
Especially Gibby, who's a tough crowd, very self-critical, very tough to please.
Yes.
They all love it. And that's so gratifying. And audiences love it, which is super gratifying. So yeah, man, it's been overall a great experience.
So I want to talk about the band, but I want to talk about the audience and how people are receiving it, because I'm really, really, really curious, like, what kinds of crowds are showing up? Are they mostly like longtime Butthole fans?
It's a great mix, There's definitely longtime fans, but there's their kids, like a lot of young people who are just curious and didn't know much about the band, and a lot of sort of very casual fans that were sort of brought along by a boyfriend or girlfriend,
Yeah,
or husband or wife. And that's the most satisfying in a way, or it gives me the most hope that the mission is to spread the word beyond the core fans,
yes. And that's what I'm asking about. It's like, so kids are digging it.
Yes, kids are digging it. I cut some promotional little spots for social media that show real audience reactions. It's that somewhat cheesy old format of, like, promoting a movie with people right outside the theater saying, I loved it, better than Gremlins, better than E.T.
Yeah, but you know what? That's delicious cheese. That's the kind of cheese that we can live with, because sincere enthusiasm, except no substitute. That's the fucking best substance in the world, is like genuine enthusiasm from people.
Yeah, and it's been absolutely just gushing and so effusive, and that's great, man. There's just no better thing for having labored on a film for a long time than to see people genuinely overjoyed and just like, oh my god, I love it, it was incredible. I've heard best music doc ever from many people.
I can't argue that. If there are ones that are, I can't think of one I've ever seen that was this much fun.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I wanted to make sure that it was fun, because the band was fun. They were funny, as well as capturing the energy of a bad acid trip. They were also funny. And, that's, how it is. Like,
bad acid trips can be really funny, if you could step back
the way towards the horror.
Exactly. And maybe on the way back out when your eyeballs are fried in your head.
Yeah. And that's exactly the power of this band that was just hit the bullseye for me, and a lot of people, they were a psychedelic band, and that represents, as Dean Ween says in the movie, it's like, that's, LSD, there's a wide spectrum of human experience that it kind of
offers.
Yeah. And it's not all rainbows and unicorns,
No.
And that's, it's sort of the, confronting existential horror.
Yes.
It's something I think, you and I both really appreciate.
Yes.
And it's a powerful part of the, it's a powerful realm of artistic expression that can confront that.
Yep.
that existential horror, but then with a comedic take. You know, that's a bullseye for me. That's where my aesthetic has always lived.
No, absolutely. And I always think about the quote, this life is a comedy to those who think and a tragedy to those who feel. You know, if you think about this stuff, it's insanely hilarious.
Yes.
You know, the fact that atrocity exists on a certain level is hilarious because it's wrong. You know, and you know, comedy. I think so much of comedy is like the shit going wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but then on the other hand, it's horrible. You know? So that's the thing. I mean, that's been my fucking that's been what I've needed to address this whole journey. You know, the shit that needs to be talked about. And
those two poles, you know, those two concepts do exist at the same time. And you know, there's that other quote about being able to hold opposing viewpoints in your mind at the same time is sort of, you know, a mark of some kind of enlightenment or intelligence.
Yeah. It at least reflects a mind open enough to embrace the contradictions and the I mean, you know, it isn't just duality or polarity. It's it's the magnetic pull between and everything happens between those fucking energetic poles. And no, and so I've been thinking a lot about the 90s because to me, just, you know, my history was like the 80s. Well, okay, so there's the 60s and there's the whole fucking rebellion. And then, as John Waters liked to say, the people who came to Pink Flamingos were the hippies the pissed off hippies that didn't yet realize they were punks. And then as you make it through the, you know, well, the rebellion's gone, but the sex and drugs are still there of the 70s. And then it turns into the highly corporate 80s. By the 90s, the culture is sort of like, fuck you. I'm going to show you all the things you said I can't. And it was that kind of just wave of fuck you transgression that I felt was so much of what the 90s carried with it. And that band, you know, I mean, if fuck you isn't part of the operating principle, I don't know what is, right? But at the same time, there is that joyous thing because, again, like my buddy Cody Goodfellow says about me, it's like a warm hug in one hand, fistful of fuck you in the other.
Right.
And that's just kind of how you walk through it. But I mean, the 90s is where your shit took off. My shit took off in the 80s. I'm like 10 years older. So what do you think about what I just said in terms of the 90s being the era of now it's in your face?
Well, the 90s were when it went overground, right? Because
yes.
It was
That's exactly right.
I think it was the Buttholes. Their glory days were the late 80s, and they started in the early 80s.
Right.
And they did start in the post-punk environment. They both saw the Sex Pistols independently before they even knew each other. Paul and Gibby.
Right.
Were both at the same Sex Pistols show in San Antonio.
No shit.
At Randy's Rodeo, which was a famous one. You know, Sex Pistols famously, they started their US tour in Texas to, you know, because they wanted to plunge right into the, you know, to get the reaction, you know, of outrage from the and that really did, you know, that the Sex Pistols inspired so many people, you know, so many great bands from Manchester bands, famous, you know, they played Manchester and all like Joy Division and the Buzzcocks were all in the audience, you know, and then in Texas, the future Butthole Surfers were there. So but you know, so they were, to get back to your sort of timeline question,
Yeah.
They were drawing on all kinds of different influences. They were both, you know, they're more your age. They're you know, almost your age.
Yeah.
And so they grew up, you know, steeped in the early 70s classic rock.
Yes.
And
also Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And also Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
But also, you know, Captain Beefheart. Like,
yep.
Gibby was a little more sophisticated in his tastes than Paul. Paul was like really just like, you know, when he was coming up as a guitar prodigy, it was the Grand Funk Railroad double
yes.
record that he learned to play note for note. And
you know what, Mark Farner was a great guitarist to learn the licks from. He was important for me too.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, he's a great guitar player, and you can totally hear his sound in Paul's playing. But then he got kind of bored with that.
Yeah.
And then stopped playing. But Gibby, when he met Gibby, as we show in the film, you know, Gibby opened up his musical horizons, played him punk rock, Ramones, and new wave, Joy Division, and probably Captain Beefheart, and you know, a lot of the stuff that's more artsy and sophisticated. And then, as Paul said, he heard one of the first Meat Puppets records, and it just totally opened his mind about what you could do on the guitar.
Yeah.
And yeah, but he had that. It's sort of, I compare it to sort of like the way Picasso like was a prodigy and could paint like Raphael when he was 16. He could do figurative, beautiful, you know, traditional painting in a, you know, masterly way. But then he moved beyond it, and then sort of went back to a childlike, you know, abstraction.
Yes.
And simplicity in his later work. You know, that's a little bit akin to the way Paul kind of mastered classic rock, and then went beyond it into a more expressive and, you know, less constricted way.
I'm going to say primal. Yeah, really primal playing. Yeah,
like Picasso's later work, it was primal. You know, it was really painted with, bold primal colors that wasn't so concerned with subtlety, I guess. It was more primal, visceral kind of, and had that raw power.
Yes, and like response driven, like, you know, like nobody's going to walk into the room and fall asleep. You know, right. You know, it's going to be. I mean, I totally relate to that shit. That was my whole thing. It's like I'm talking about the most incendiary stuff in the world, and you guys are taking a nap. Fuck that. I have some ideas on how we could possibly rectify this situation. So yeah.
So, button up the thought. You know, so that was like they were in the underground. You know, and so in the underground there was this really great, vibrant underground music scene in the 80s in America, with all the SST bands and the, you know, and that was what inspired, you know, Nirvana. But then in the early 90s, Nirvana took it, synthesized it with Kurt's amazing melodic sense that also heavily drew on the Beatles.
Yep.
And served it up in a package that mainstream radio latched onto, and boom, you know, it all changed, right?
Absolutely. And it is really interesting. I mean, your point is fucking dead on, and I don't know why I didn't make that leap. It's like, yeah, the underground was percolating like crazy. And then one thing happens and the doors open and it's like, hey, what's down in that underground there? And everything comes swarming out. And then, you know, and then it meets commercial mainstream air, and then you see what happens.
Yeah. And then the Butthole Surfers get plucked out of the underground because, you know, they had such respect in the underground. They were like one, you know, maybe the most kind of respected band in the underground for their pure, uncompromising vision, you know.
Yes.
And that's what drew Kurt Cobain to them. And then Kurt had to kind of, you know, suffer with the fact that he brought that spirit into the mainstream and was suddenly corporate rock or whatever.
Right.
You know, he didn't handle it that well.
No. Yeah, well, I mean, success is not always all it's cracked up to be.
No.
You know, the sheer number of people who have been snapped by it, even as it completely succeeded.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, congratulations, you won. No. Yeah.
Nope. No. And you know, and it had also not the greatest outcomes for the Butthole Surfers, you know, and for Gibby in particular.
Yes.
Who really fell in with you know, the Hollywood scene that was not very healthy for him.
Exactly.
And
that part of the movie is really painful.
It is.
Yeah, it's authentically painful, but it's also fantastic because it's real.
It's very real, and I was there, and you were there, you know, and it's we remember, and you know, like Johnny Depp talks about it with candor in our, and you know, to his credit, he doesn't, you know, as he did at the time, totally deny everything, and you know, he's candid about it, as is Gibby. But yeah, just the way River Phoenix died, literally a few feet from Gibby, who was on stage, but they're separated by a brick wall.
Exactly.
Sidewalk, in front of the Viper Room, dying as they're singing about him.
That was so astonishing, and I did not know those particulars, so that shit landed really hard.
Yeah.
And
it was you know, it was, I guess it was decadent is the word that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good word.
It was, yeah, it was not a good scene, really, in retrospect. You know, it seemed fun, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
But I think it was, that particular scene was not fueling the best work in the people that were involved with it.
Well, because it fucking eats your soul, and your soul is part of what the art comes out of. You know, have I ever told you what I want on my tombstone for my? Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna. I think no matter how I go out, that's still gonna be funny.
It's there with Groucho Marx's excuse me for not getting up.
I think epitaphs are really important. Or, you know, I mean, what's fucking Oscar Wilde's last words? Either this wallpaper goes or I do. I actually stayed at the Cadogan when I was on set for Clive Barker's Nightbreed, and I think the wallpaper was still there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the same wallpaper.
Man, that wallpaper had the last laugh, huh?
No, that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Oscar Wilde.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, anyway, so yeah, and then here we are, 2025.
Yes, we are.
The past 25 years have gone by so fucking fast.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, the previous decades didn't feel that way at all.
Yeah,
it's just like somebody lit a rocket and then the rocket just keeps accelerating.
Yep.
So no, it's really weird, and it's not just age, it's the fucking world. But okay, so what happens with the movie now? Where is it? When are people going to be able to see it? Do you know?
Well, we have an inkling, but it's not confirmed.
Okay.
But I think if everything goes, we've been approached by a well-known company with a very interesting offer that will. Oop! Did we lose?
I can hear you, but I'm just seeing a little picture.
Yeah. What happened?
Come back. There you are.
Okay. I can't really talk about it because it's not confirmed, but there's probably going to be a way to watch the movie in January, hopefully.
Oh, that will be awesome.
And then we still are going to do a, theatrical run one way or the other. But it's the state of the movie business. I probably don't have to tell you is horrible.
Yes. But I mean, but great movies continue to be made. So things must be done. Now, I've been, one of the things that I've been looking into a lot is like the Ted Hope film stack sort of eventizing films, or just these alternate ways of creating eventized theatrical runs, and not just dumping your shit to the bottom of the streamer pit.
Yes. You don't dump it to the bottom of the streamer pit, until all other avenues are exhausted.
Exactly. And then, again, some of us still like physical media.
And there will be physical media.
I can't wait to see the things that didn't make it into the movie that you're going to want to slip into there.
There is a mountain of extra material that we couldn't put in the movie just for time reasons, but it's a ton of great stuff. And this is, so yes, there will be a Blu-ray that will be packed with extra material. And that's always, for a long time, I've been counting on that, because there's so much that we cut that I love and that I want people to see. But, a big thing with filmmaking is pace, right? It's like one of your biggest weapons or tools as a filmmaker. And I saw how, the cut we showed at South by Southwest was like 110 minutes or something. But, you feel the audience getting fatigued at a certain point at, about 100 minutes in, and you're like, we cut out 5 minutes and it really helped,
There is not a dead fucking second in this thing.
Yeah.
That was my experience. It was just like, it was just riveting, and it just blasted through. And I mean, that is the soul of editing. It's like, number one, get rid of the boring parts, and number two, understand which of the amazing parts you can't use.
Yeah, and just tell the story, and you got to kind of get rid of stuff that doesn't propel the story.
Yep.
And you realize, like, the human attention span is this kind of biological, fact.
Yes.
That people just get antsy, and they don't, you have to accept that and embrace it. In my opinion, I think modern blockbuster films tend to be way over long, And,
oh my God, are you kidding me?
So
no, there is no reason on fucking earth that anything involving a superhero needs to be 2.5 hours long.
No.
And
it's always fucking boring, and you're just like, you can just watch it and know exactly, like, you can lose this scene, we don't need this.
I would have liked one ending to this movie as opposed to the 5 that you tried to pack into one place.
It's a real failing of the modern Hollywood blockbuster thing. It's just like, it's frustrating. So I was very cognizant of that, and I'm like, it's such a pace is such a powerful part of it, and it's just, I don't know, the giant budgeted movies, and I guess just the big egos of the directors thinking everything's got to be in there. It's just so self-defeating to me.
And if you really want to, like, stick an air hose up your story's ass that hard and balloon it out, there's always the series, and what I found is the series that I love the most move like rockets too.
Yeah, like The Boys. Love The Boys.
I haven't seen The Boys because I have such a fucking superhero aversion. But
it's the perfect antidote for that.
There you go. Yeah.
It's absolutely good. A satire of all that, and it really good too, and just great great cartoonish gore, and it's really good. It's like RoboCop.
Okay, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. So fuck. What other movies did you see anything you loved this year?
Well, I love Nosferatu.
Me too.
I love that movie. I thought it was terrific. And then a lot of people didn't really like it. So I stuck my neck out on social media, which is, I rarely do, but like, I remember I watched a preview like a year ago, and it was before it came out, and I loved it. So I kind of went on and gave it a gushing review. And then like when it came out a few weeks later, a lot of people didn't like it, and they were making fun of the mustache and all this stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? But
yeah, I base all of my my cinematic criteria on mustachio stuff. Yeah, mustache business. Frank Zappa would have been fine with it.
I thought it was great. I think he's great. Robert Eggers is a great filmmaker. He's just a real filmmaker. It's just, he's bringing visuals that are so powerful and delicious, and the sound design and the acting. I thought Nosferatu was terrific. A terrific performance by that Skarsgård guy, and his voice was so fantastic.
I thought he was great too, but I got to say, Johnny's daughter, to me, tore it up, man. She tore that shit up.
Really won my respect. Before that, I had kind of she's probably just a Nepo baby, but she delivered.
It's such a physical performance.
Yeah, Linda Blair level.
I mean, Linda Blair. I think Linda Blair was training wheels for what she did.
Yeah,
because she just really just tore it up so hard. Did you see Bring Her Back?
No.
Have you seen the two Australian brothers? Their previous film was Talk to Me.
No.
Okay, these motherfuckers are really, really, really interesting. And I've realized that a lot of my favorite films engage the unconscious.
Yeah.
That there's got to be some like vibrating in the hindbrain for me to go, okay, this is something special.
Yeah.
Talk to Me, their first film from just a couple of years back, basically uses demonic possession as a teenage party game. There's this hand, and if you touch it and say, talk to me, a spirit enters you and you are possessed, and everybody's like, look at this shit. Getting high off it. This movie is so extraordinary. And Bring Her Back is the new one, and it's about a traumatized teenage boy and his slightly younger blind sister who wind up in foster care from a woman who may or may not be trying to bring her dead child back through them. And so it's a trauma story. It's a deeply fucked up story, but my God, does it get, did it embed in my central nervous system? Yes, it did.
I'm writing it down, John.
Yeah, these two motherfuckers, I can't wait to see what else they do.
Well, that's great.
And
yeah, I mean, it's great to hear about young filmmakers doing great things, and we'll figure it out. Like, I don't think cinema's dead, but it's the distribution end of it that's become really, really bad and difficult. And so, we've been struggling with that since we premiered at South by Southwest, and it had this incredible run of festival audiences, but now we have to distribute it, and it's the deals are not good, and
right.
Really want to get my investors paid back.
Yes.
John Waters kind of drilled into me when I read his books. He was like, I always got my investors paid back, and keep it cheap enough and get your investors paid back so you can do it again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Focused on that, and it's we're going to get it out there, but it's like we may have to do a lot of the work ourselves. And you know, but I know there's an audience, and I can't wait to be showing it in theaters around the world.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I can't wait till you bring it to a theater near me. I'm in Portland, Oregon now.
We have to get to Portland. You know, if you draw up the list of cities where you got to show this movie, it's Portland's definitely on there. So, you know, we'll make it happen for sure.
Beautiful.
It's fun to it's fun to see it with a crowd. Just like,
I was watching it by myself in this room with the lights out, so I could just like soak in it. And then I hit the scene at the drag bar, and one of my housemates is trans female. And I was like, oh, you need to see this fucking scene. So I dragged her in and showed it to her, and she's howling. Oh, good. But yeah, what it really made me want to do was like throw a party and have 50 people and just, you know, sit there and watch the thing. And the theater is basically a theater for this would be a party.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, yeah, you need to be throwing Butthole Surfer parties all over the planet.
And I feel that it is an antidote for what ails us as a society right now. You know, the kind of digital isolation that's plaguing us, and the lack of kind of communal experiences, especially intense rite of passage sort of experiences.
Yes.
Like Surfers concert, you know, nobody was more alive and just totally free and in the moment than these guys when they were at their peak. It was a testament to the power of just whatever, you know, like no limits art, you know.
Yes.
No inhibitions, and just it was shamanistic. Gibby really was like a shaman, you know. He was pushing to the other side with extreme methods, and it was just riveting, you know, and not just like not like going to a rock concert. It was that, but it was something else that was just, you know, and a lot of that had to do with the kind of danger,
yes,
you know, and the lack of you know, like prescribed professional you know,
decorum.
Yes. And safety measures and whatnot. And
oh yeah, safety measures.
You know, I mean, I do feel that, look, you know, I don't want to get hurt and et cetera, but you know, so at some point in the last 20 years, like, I think we've become overly obsessed with safety, you know, and the kind of the younger generations are sort of take it as this, you know, it's to me, it's just there, you can be overly safe, you know.
Oh yeah, at the point that you become the school marm that is waggling the finger, things have dramatically shifted. But again, these are all pendulum swings, and I think an awful lot of that came from the unbridled fuck you of the previous wave. And it was just like, I don't feel safe anywhere now, I need to feel safe everywhere. You know, unfortunately, the world, we create zones of safety for ourselves and each other, which are called community in the best sense of the term, and then the world is dangerous as fuck. Last time I checked, and so yeah, I'm really curious if we're about to experience a time in which okay, let's just say that the authoritarian regime has pushed really, really hard at the, you know, we're the ones who fearlessly say anything, and what we have to say is a lot of really, really dark shit. But I have a funny feeling that whatever cultural resistance to authoritarianism there be is going to have to get comfortable getting rough and tumble in the trenches again. You know.
Yeah. My thing is like, let's keep the danger in art, You know, that's
exactly. I was saying this to in an interview yesterday. Yeah, my favorite place for horror is in the art. Out here in life, I like to treat people well and have others do the same.
But like we have to reckon with the darkness in all of us, and the perfect place to do it is in art, because you know it's cathartic. It doesn't actually hurt people. You know, we don't want it in the White House. We want it in art. So,
yep.
I hope that we can get back there.
Well, let's do what we can to help.
And I was gonna voice some kind of opinion, which might be half-assed, but it's like, you know, if you clamp down on the kind of blanket safety and don't offend people thing too hard to where art gets constricted, somehow the polarity I don't know if it's a direct cause, but it's resulted in this horrible political era that we're in.
Well, yeah, it's called the return of the repressed.
Yeah.
And you know, if you can't talk honestly about this stuff, then it's like the fucking NRA thing. It's like if you make guns illegal, the only people who will have guns are crooks, right? Or cops. And you know, if you make frank speech, you know, about the ugly shit and everything else verboten, then all of a sudden the only people who are using it are the fucking creeps.
Yes.
And that's problematic. A lot of why I went into horror was because I understood that there are a lot, because with the invention of the smiley face in like 1970 or something, that people would just like this a compulsory happiness that was a sticker that got slapped on everything.
Yeah.
It was sort of like,
have a nice day.
Yeah, have a nice day. And I mean, I like have a nice day. Let me finish this point. I'll see if I can double back around to that one, because that's a good one. But I think that basically what happened was a lot of people began to suspect that happiness was just bullshit. You know, if you really look at the world, how can you be happy? And you're just painting this candy ass smile on everything. And so a lot of what I felt like I had to do is I had to go into the fucking trenches and earn happiness by going, okay, I still believe in happiness, but I think I've demonstrated that I'm not a chicken shit, and that I will talk, you know, it's like you had to go so hard to prove that you weren't having actual human emotions was pussy, you know, and, you know, if you were tough, then you knew better than to do that. It was all just, you know, sentimentality and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, no, this is the best shit. The best shit is human caring and love and stuff. But you don't want to be a phony candy ass about it. You again, in the embracing of the extremes and just going, okay, yeah, I'll go in the pit with you, but what I'd rather do is like, let's, you know, have a nice time. Bring the puppy in. Bring the fucking puppy in. Did that make sense?
Yes, it does. And it's, to me, it reminds me that kind of a central problem with America has always been the kind of phony smile. You know, the phony smile, which is just the salesman's smile, exactly. You know, or the politician's smile it's not real. It's not based on on a real feeling. It's based on they want to sell you something, you know. And that phoniness is just, you know, that's kind of why Trump got elected, because all of a sudden he realized if you play against that, you come off as sincere. No bull, even if you're the biggest bullshit artist of all time.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like the message was clear. They're lying to you and the game is rigged. Unfortunately, everything that he said from that point on was a lie.
Yes.
And that's problematic. I got a thing about lying.
Me too. And to me, you know, I think any great artist is concerned with honesty, and because that's what resonates with people, really, and it's the secret sauce to all great art.
Absolutely. Like sincerity, integrity, things like that. It's honesty. I'm not going to pretty this up for you. This is the truth, but I'm also going to show you the beautiful truth, which actually makes it prettier.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodness is true too.
It is, but it's hard. It's hard for that, for goodness to beat cynicism sometimes.
Yeah. But I think, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can, we could probably keep talking for like 3 months. But that seems like a really, really good place to wrap this sucker.
Yeah, that's good to me. This was great though, John.
It's so much fun. Yeah. The whole point of this, of doing this thing is like, I want to have great conversations with amazing people I love, and talk for real.
Right on. I've had the same impulse, but kudos to you for actually doing it.
Let's talk again.
Yeah.
Both on and off the air. It's so good to see you, man. And again, I'm so proud of you. The movie's so great.
Thank you, John. And I look forward to coming up to Portland to show it.
Beautiful. Okay. Take care, my friend.
All right, man. Take care, John.
Bye-bye. And there you have it. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I hope you had even half as much fun as I just did. And I'll see you on the next one.